What's happening, financial coaches? It's Pete here. I had a question come up about joining a BNI chapter. And as a financial coach, there probably are not a lot of financial coaches in BNI, and it stands for Business Networking International. They might be the largest business networking group. And if you're not familiar with them, there's a number of videos out there. I mean, generally what they do is, at least in the chapters I was involved with, they would meet before work on a Tuesday morning for breakfast, and you would network. You would get a little chance to promote yourself about a minute at the beginning. Everyone would kind of go round robin on the table, introduce yourself. Because you are there with the same people each week, you want to have a different pitch each week, kind of highlighting a different aspect of your business. And they are protected categories, which means that you will be the only financial coach in that organization or that chapter. They will only have one real estate agent. They will only have one attorney. They'll only have, sometimes they split up the legal categories if it's like family practice and, litigation or, something like that. But most will just have one attorney. They'll only have one interior designer. Each category is protected, basically. Now, the pro and con of this is that you get a regular meeting to build relationships with other people who are referral partners. The con of this is that it's not cheap. Now, I will say that I have been in the past a member of BNI, LaTip, Leads Club, and I can't remember the name of the other one at the moment. But they all generally work about the same way. The reason I was in different groups was because it is actually very hard in a financial category to get into one of the networking groups. The primary reason is that usually they have a mortgage broker, a financial advisor, usually some other people, maybe a bank deposit broker, assuming that maybe the mortgage agent just only writes mortgages, some things like that. So the financial categories are the first ones to fill up. Financial, legal, real estate fill up in these chapters right away. Usually a new chapter is launched because there is such a deep wait list to get into chapters by these categories of salespeople that they are able to launch more chapters and then find, the oil change guy and the dry cleaner and sign maker and all these other things, right? So what I am saying here, though, is that because of that, there's going to be two problems. If you apply to a chapter and they don't have a financial coach, it's very likely that the financial advisor is not going to want you in there. And they certainly have a veto power on it, right? So you would have to go as a visitor. If the financial advisor doesn't want you kind of promoting your wares, you won't even be able to say anything. That's just how it goes. So I would certainly call. You would certainly want to contact before you visit any chapter. You have to get that permission. But just because they even allow you to visit, you have to ask and make sure that they check with the person who is closest to your category if they feel like it's competition. In most cases, the financial advisor or the stockbroker or the investment advisor, investment manager, wealth advisor, whatever, probably will decline a financial coach. It's just the way it is. I get that you could say we don't do the same thing. Maybe we work with different people. We could be good referral partners to each other. I get it. But I can tell you, when I was a financial advisor back in 2010, 2009, 10, 11, when I was starting out, part of the launch training for financial advisors included coaching training, right? Because you can't just sit down and be like, listen, you need to buy this, this, and this and expect people to buy it. There is coaching involved in it, right? You use those same techniques. So financial advisors do coaching. I mean, they may not specialize in it, but there's no financial advisor that doesn't have some sort of soft, guiding touch, right? I mean, you just wouldn't be in business very long. So that's why most of them don't want to share that category or have you in that category because they are also, that is a funnel for their business. And so they don't necessarily need you. If people are looking for, I'm trying to think about a big purchase and trying to figure out what I need to do about it, the financial advisor is happy to work with them over the course of a few weeks because if that builds a relationship with them, they have an opportunity to manage their other assets, right? So you have to understand that. And so one, you probably won't get it in most of the chapters. Two, if you do get in, you are going to probably have to spend a couple of years before you get a referral. Now, this can certainly depend on the people and the relationships you make there, but I would say that financial advisors don't get a lot of referrals. Financial advising is a really tough space. And yet, there are a lot of financial advisors, tens or hundreds of thousands maybe, that are making a living out of this. I would venture to say that there are more financial advisors than financial coaches, and I would venture to say that the average financial advisor makes more money than the average financial coach. And that is because the financial advising space is a fairly mature space. People know it. You don't have to pound the pavement and make the market for it. And the financial coaching business, while it's more mature than ever, a lot of people don't, one, either know what it is and don't feel the pressure to use it once they do find out. And so finding people who are really looking for a financial coach to make that referral to you is harder. I would say that I have been in, like I said, 4 different leads organizations, and probably spent from 2011 to now, I have probably spent 7 or 8 years in there, including chambers of commerce and some other groups. And I probably got 2 leads out of them and maybe 1 client. So, at what the dues are maybe $300 or $400 a year. So I probably spent, $4,000 or $5,000 on dues alone. And then your breakfasts are another $500 a year. So, you're probably looking at another $5,000. So I probably had $10,000 in there to make, $300. So you do the math. Between the time, effort, and money, is it worth it? And that's why I tried some different organizations. I made some good friends. I did have some good referral partners on some things. The 2 referrals that I did get were with a friend of mine who was a mortgage broker. And the reason that worked out well is because sometimes he would decline people for mortgages because of where the credit score was. So I got referrals on people that wanted to see what they could do to improve their credit score in a short order. So that came from my buddy Sam. Still good friends with him. He's still in the business. But I didn't need to be a member of an organization to get the referrals, once I had that relationship. So is it worth it? I don't think so. Is it worth it to get in if there isn't the competition, if they're not going to bump you out of it, to get the experience, to stand up, talk, spend 60 seconds to develop an elevator pitch that is unique each week? It could be. But I can't think of it right now, but I should see if I can find the link to the YouTube video of a guy who left his business to become a salesman. It wasn't in financial coaching or anything like that. But, he was in the business for a year, and he kind of talks about, he's like, on my 1-year anniversary, I wanted to tally up all the time, the effort, the money, the dues, the drinks, that I bought, all of that into a spreadsheet so I could know how much I've spent this last year. And the numbers were staggering. And he wasn't in a business that doesn't benefit from, networking. It was a little bit more traditional business, and he said, the return on all that spend was 0. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, that's what it's like. Now, I will say, who does it benefit the most? Highly consumable businesses. If you run an oil change place, everyone in that group is going to go to you for their oil change, assuming it's close, because they want to support your business. If you run a printer and you print business cards, everyone in that group is probably going to use you for their business cards, right? So highly consumable, easily consumable, kind of low price point things. If there's someone in there that's a car salesman, the next time you're buying a car, assuming that it's the right brand, you might buy through him or her. So that can work too. If you work at like a Chevy dealership, and someone mentions, hey, I want to buy that new Chevy Cruze or whatever, then they might make that referral. I know a guy there, and you can make that. So the consumable things do best. The high trust, complex business relationships, like financial advising, are much harder. Like an attorney, you don't just refer to an attorney because you this is a great attorney. He knows this stuff. He's awesome. There has to be a need. Someone has to say, listen, I'm getting sued. I'm getting divorced. I'm trying to get custody of my kids. Whatever it is. My father left all his money to my sibling and I didn't get any of it and I want to contest that. Well, then there's a reason to refer to attorney and you can refer that attorney. But otherwise, it's kind of like financial coaches. Unless there's this really acute problem that just happens to collide with someone else in another business that is brought up even though they aren't in that business, and then they remember back in their BNI group that they have a referral that they can make to you, then you can get that. But generally the referrals were pretty Spartan for people in this type of business. So that's just my thought on it. I probably would not suggest doing BNI. I would take the hour and a half each week and dedicate it to something that is a little more grassroots and closer to your prospects. Instead of relying on other people to be your sales force, which is certainly one strategy, I would just go out and be your sales force, because you're thinking that the other 20 people in that group are going to be out there pounding the pavement for you. They're not. They're not going to do any better job than you can with one person. So to be honest, I would suggest standing outside of a grocery store handing out your flyers is a better strategy than joining a networking group. Now, that is for financial coaching. If you're in some other businesses, I think it can be a fantastic place, and I would encourage you to. And there's a reason why financial advisors, mortgage brokers, real estate agents, attorneys, want to be in those, because some of those categories can do real well. Oil change places, business cards, home furnishing, whatever it might be. So anyway, that's just my thoughts. I could be wrong. Often am, but I did it for a long time. So hopefully that helps. See you later.